when you go to watch Snow White and no one is in the theater?
Literally nobody. It's
Empty.
So I decided to go watch Snow White just for funsies in the cinema. And
Ever seen a film tank so spectacularly that the main actress had to cope by sitting in a vacant theater? That's exactly what happened with Rachel Zegler, who not only headlined Disney's Snow White, but found herself at the heart of one of the most epic fails in recent Hollywood, Memory. What started as a fairy tale turned into a full-blown nightmare, not just for the box office, but for Rachel's reputation. From awkward political rants to off-screen drama, this wasn't just a misstep, it was a full-scale implosion. Rachel didn't just close doors, she torched the entire castle. And after months of steering this film straight into a storm of bad press and online chaos, Zegler's breakdown post-flop was a train wreck you couldn't look away from. You know, the failure's massive when the lead actress turns up at her own movie only to be met with the sound of sadness and maybe a few lonely popcorn kernels sobbing. She came with friends, probably clinging to any form of emotional support for what was less of a premiere and more of a ghost town. People tried to say the theater was rented out, but honestly, the internet was flooded with clips of equally deserted showings. Even I was dragged to see it, and there were more staff than viewers. And yes, Rachel even filmed herself buying the tickets, and Instagram saw everything, capturing the awkward energy of what was supposed to be a celebration, now immortalized in meme heaven. It all screamed, "Watch me demolish my own career in Ultra HD."
Before the premiere, Rachel proudly declared people would wait in line to see her movies, and well, that aged brilliantly.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
It felt like an attempt to lean into the controversy as if playing along would soften the blow. Instead, it made things worse, way worse. So let's dig into those second-week numbers. And brace yourselves, because they're brutal. Disney reportedly poured a massive $370 million into making and marketing Snow White, yes, nearly $400 million to turn a beloved tale into a lecture-filled mess. And what did they get in return? A measly $43 million debut, followed by viewers walking out mid-screening. Even Dumbo had better luck, and that elephant literally flew out of relevance.
Original 1937 version
Weird.
dragged the prince for being a creep and said the story needed fixing.
reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated.
There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
By week 2, the movie's earnings dropped by a painful 66%, pulling in just $14.2 million, sliding down behind A Hard-Working Man, an action flick that had 1,000 fewer screens and none of Disney's marketing muscle. Let that sit for a second.
Bro, you're the lead in a family-friendly movie, not a political campaign. Never mind the fact she told like half the country not to watch the movie.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
A low-budget action movie outshone Disney's oldest princess after only 1 week. The Chosen, Last Supper, with half as many screens, nearly overtook Snow White. On a per-theater basis, both films actually beat it. And with Minecraft dropping next week, it's game over for Snow White's box office run. As of March 30th, 2025 domestic revenue stood at $66.9 million, with another $75.8 million from international markets, giving it a worldwide total of $142.8 million, which means, officially, this thing flopped. Forget breaking, even analysts now say Disney's looking at losses over $100 million.
And then skipped her entirely in a sentimental Instagram post thanking the cast.
Worse still, the IMDB rating fell to a humiliating 1.5 out of 10. That's not just bad, that's, let's pretend this movie never existed. This is the same studio that made The Lion King remake hit $1 billion. Yet Snow White couldn't even fill half a theater. People were posting seat maps with more blue than the ocean. The irony? Rachel Zegler once boldly claimed that folks would line up to see her in anything. Well, they lined up all right, just not for Snow White.
When you go to watch Snow White and no one is in the theater,
Literally nobody. It's
empty.
So I decided to go watch Snow White just for funsies in the cinema. And like,
Go on. It's up to you now, Pixel.
Yet for Snow White, entire theaters were empty. People were posting seat maps with more blue than an ocean.
Disney's PR team was working overtime, like full-time firefighter mode. They even brought in a social media fixer to manage Rachel's posts. But it was like trying to leash a hurricane. At that point, she'd already gone viral for dissing the original, alienating the fan base, and dragging the movie into controversy after controversy. It got so bad the film's producer had to fly in personally just to have a sit-down. Even Spielberg reportedly gave a side-eye to how messy this all became. Eventually, Rachel had to post an apology that felt so out of character it might as well have been ghostwritten by Mickey Mouse himself.
Things were so out of hand, Rachel had to make an apology post, which was so out of character for her.
Fans didn't buy it. The damage was already done, and Hollywood noticed. Word is, she was set to voice a character in Toy Story 5. Gone. Tied to a new Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Cut. Plan to lead a horror series with Blumhouse? Not anymore. Turns out no one wants to work with someone who stirs up more drama than dollars. Still, after the crash, Rachel said Snow White was a life-changing experience and deeply emotional for her. But, come on. With those sad theater selfies, her radio silence about Gal Gadot, and the endless PR cleanup, this was less of a coming-of-age story and more of a meltdown in slow motion. Now, the film's become a meme, a symbol of Disney's recent identity crisis. And Rachel Zegler, once considered the next big thing, has turned into a cautionary tale of how fast Hollywood turns on you when ego, politics, and a $370 million remake collide. So, yeah, from fan fights to co-star snubs and sitting through her own flop in a silent theater, Rachel didn't just have a tough promo tour. She became a walking PR disaster. At this point, Snow White is buried under memes, backlash, and regret. And Rachel Zegler's now starring in a real-life story with no clear fairy tale ending. Let us know in the comments, can she come back from this? Or is this truly the final chapter in her Hollywood story? Until next time, remember, not every princess gets a happily ever after.